Wow, ouchie. Well done, babe. Sammy has chewed through a dash cam cable.
As long as it doesn't end in fisticuffs again.
You can see a woman gesticulating wildly.
Hi, I'm Daz and she's Bee, and we're on a 12-week road trip round France with our boys and our greyhound Sammy. Join us as we explore the history, beauty and fun we can squeeze in while getting to grips with the challenges of working and home educating on the road as a family in France, living a life less ordinary as we escape in the motorhome. From the paradise minus the poo of Lac Montbel, we headed northeast for an hour to Carcassonne. Our route to Carcassonne took us via a town called Limoux, and an area in the Aude Valley we became very familiar with when we were house hunting just a few years ago. For us, this area had it all. It had the mountains, it had the rivers, it had canals, it had fields of grapevines and sunflowers, long straight roads, avenues of plane trees, and boulangeries coming out of your ears, warm summers and mild winters. Everything we wanted, but alas, it wasn't to be. And although some of the architecture in the area is more Mediterranean and less grand and detailed like the north, there's still plenty of history to keep Bee happy.
And there it is in the distance after our journey from the lake. Carcassonne.
Carcassonne is a breathtaking inhabited medieval walled town with 2 concentric walls and 3 kilometres of ramparts, situated just over halfway between Toulouse and the Mediterranean coast. But before we could visit the town, we had to find somewhere to leave Stampy.
Okay. So here we are at Carcassonne Air. It looks very nice, but I'm imagining it's going to cost a pretty penny. Wow, ouchie. Quite possibly the most expensive camping car air we've had so far we've been away, and that doesn't include campsites with facilities and things. So they charge you €18 per 24 hours. And that includes the tax séjour, the tourist tax, and then you've got per person charges as well. So for 5 people on board, we've got €3.30 charge, and it includes a 10-minute water drain. So altogether, €21.30. Ouch! So we paid per person plus overnight. Do you want to take a guess?
It's going to be above 15 and less than 30.
Yes.
19.
Higher.
21.
Close. 30 cents more. 21.30.
Sammy.
What do you reckon? What do you reckon? He's okay. So we've just settled into our Carcassonne campsite, or we've settled into our Carcassonne motorhome air stop, and we've put the table out and we've put some chairs out. We're just having a little beer before we go into Carcassonne, and we can see a woman gesticulating wildly towards us as if we're doing something wrong. And she's gone now, but
Yeah, film her, won't she?
yeah, she's done it twice now. She's looked over there as if we're doing something wrong. Then she walked past with a buggy just a second ago and just took her arm to the side as if we're doing something wrong. But, you know, there's a certain amount of spaces here, and everyone's got their own space, and everyone's putting their table out to the side of it, and we just happen to be lucky enough to have a little bit of green space next to ours. Some people have chosen not to park next to a green space, and they've just got their little gravelly area. But she could have had this space. We got in when it was really busy and there were only 6 spaces left, but apparently we're causing her some upset just from our very existence. I've had a look at the other motorhomes directly next to us, and they've all got a similar sort of space, so we're not doing anything wrong. We just happen to be on an end of a terrace, I suppose, and at the end of the terrace you've got a little green patch. So are we not to use the green patch? Are we supposed to set up on the gravel and leave the green patch for doggy doo-doos or something?
As long as it doesn't end in fisticuffs again.
Yeah, we were talking about whether we should leave our cheap table and chairs out when we walk into Carcassonne, but I think we're going to pack them away just in case she decides to...
Or burn it all down.
I don't know, yeah. She might just want to be a bit of a saboteur.
The air itself is mature and clean, having been part of the campsite next door.
Oh, that breeze is lovely.
Right next to the camping air was a tributary of the Aude River, which we followed into town.
Good evening. Well, we've all had a nice dinner of gnocchi and various other sauces and toppings, and like a lot of the people that are staying on the campsite and in the air, we're wandering into Carcassonne after 7 o'clock at night. Now that might sound absolutely mad, but there's probably a lovely atmosphere going on in a city that's built inside a castle, but also it's been oppressively hot today, and doing much before 7 p.m. it's been quite a task. Cooking every night, to be honest, is not enjoyable because I've got sweat pouring off of me once I finally get it onto the table, and then I don't want to eat it. I'm not very good at cold dinners and cold lunches.
Although we kept Sammy out of the sunshine, I'm sure this little dip in the river was a refreshing relief before our climb up the hill to the castle.
Here's a funny story. We've visited Carcassonne before. We liked it so much that when it was Daddy's birthday, I got a print done on a piece of canvas of Carcassonne, and then when I got it through the post, I thought it was really awfully done. I was thinking I put some sort of awful filter on it, and it had these weird stripes on it, and I had to apologise because it's not how I expected it to come out. I mean, we've just walked up to the entrance to Carcassonne, entrance to the city, and we can see those same stripes on the side of the castle. So it wasn't a dodgy filter, they actually were there. And now we see the purpose of the circles.
What are they?
They're kind of coming out from the archway. What's the word for? Yeah, like a ripple effect coming out of the archway.
The circles you saw on the castle were part of a piece of artwork designed by Felice Varini to celebrate Carcassonne's 20th anniversary as a UNESCO World Heritage Site. It was quite a controversial piece of art as the circles were bright yellow. The city sits on the right bank of the Ord River and can be accessed for free by 2 gates, inviting you to stroll through the cobbled alleyways and inviting streets. You can keep it simple and simply immerse yourself in the medieval town, or visit the castle, the school and Inquisition Museum, the haunted house, or even take a tourist train. According to tradition, cassoulet was invented in the region whilst under siege by the English during the 100 Years' War. It takes its name from the local word casserole, a cooking pot, and is where we derive our name for casserole from today. Another attraction of the city is the imposing Cathedral St. Nazaire Basilica. It's a national monument in the Gothic Romanesque style. There has been a church at the site ever since the 6th century, but this cathedral's construction was completed in the first half of the 12th century, only to be reconstructed in the Gothic style a century later. Watching the sun set slowly from the walls of the castle was truly magical. But it had been a long and busy day for all of us, so as night time fell, it was time for us to make our way back down the river, back to Stampy. Unfortunately, our bin bag window had come loose in the night, so before setting off, I carried out some essential repairs.
Then.
Well, so what was your general feeling about that air, darling? Was it worth the, let's have a reminder of the fee, €21 and 30 cents. Was it worth that?
I think if it had electricity, and given it's just like a 20-minute walk from a beautiful historic centre, I would say it was sort of worth it. I wouldn't stay more than one night maybe.
Yeah, I think going to visit...
It didn't have electricity,
no.
So I think it was a bit overpriced. But you're stuck for options, so... But what it did feel like, funnily enough, is the campsite next door. It felt like this morning when we woke up that we weren't just in a car park. It felt like we were I think because of all the planting and stuff, it felt more like a campsite.
Hey, but when you think about where you're staying, one of the most historic sites, I would say, in France, a UNESCO heritage site, it was absolutely full to the brim with tourists last night, right up until sundown, where you can go and see a beautiful light display inside the ramparts of the castle. So yeah, it certainly had an amazing buzz about it, and it's somewhere where you really kind of need to visit if you're down in this part of France. So to get somewhere where you can comfortably walk in in about 20 minutes. It's actually a nice walk as well. It's along by a stream, and then return back to what feels more like a campsite. €21 isn't much to pay, but the cleaning facilities, the sanitary facilities were fantastic. But there are no toilets on site either, so it is really a motorhome air. You can't just rock up here with a van that hasn't got a toilet in it. You would need to have toilet facilities of your own. So we're doing all the water things at the moment now that we have fully functioning arms for all members of our family. And yesterday we had a wonderful time in the lake, and today we're heading off to a gonflable, inflatable water park that's about 20 minutes down the road. And then after that we're moving on to somewhere where we went, I think 2020. The boys really enjoyed being there 3 years ago. Whether they'll play as long as they did last time, now that we're 3 years later, but it is a lovely setting, a lovely stream/river that you can spend time in. So another water-based day before we go onward to Montpellier.
I just didn't know whether you should put slash and stream in the same sentence.
I have to admit, I was just doing the chemical toilet. It's the first time where I was kind of just in control and putting the blue waste in myself and clipping it back in, hoping that I did it right. Whilst I was sat squatting with the water hose shunted right up to the attachment, some guy came along with his chemical toilet, and I had to sort of like angle myself away, hold my breath, look away as I listened to the slop, slop, slop noise. And then when I had to take a breath, it was not pleasant.
Even the kids could smell it inside the van.
I don't want to say the word salami. I think that's just too much information. But yeah, I'm feeling slightly traumatised by that now. But I've washed my hands so many times. I just, it's one thing you just had to deal with. But the cleaning station was really, really nice. Kept in a really nice condition. There was a guy there helping this morning, a bit like Puy de Fou. Just somebody on hand as people were coming in and going out, just keeping things sweet. Because sometimes you're at a bit of a loss when there's nobody there to help you and things are going wrong. So that's always quite nice and reassuring. So you do get your money's worth there. So we've just arrived on this slightly windy Sunday morning at Lac de la Cavière, otherwise known as Carcassonne plage. It's only about a 12-minute drive to get here, and what's appealing for the children is that there is a great big inflatable structure. So let's go and have some fun.
The nearest beach is just a short walk from the motorhome parking.
So prices for Carcassonne plage inflatables, it is £12 for 1 hour and it's £16 for 2 hours. So I suggested we do the 2 hours, even if we don't use the entire 2 hours and it's too much for them. It's such a bargain just to tag on an extra €4 for 2 hours. You can just go in and out. It is quite a decent walk from the car park all the way around one part of the lake to get to the inflatables. There are some very funny reviews online for it though. We did laugh because one lady was like, you have to walk 900 metres around the lake in the beating sunshine. And the response from the place was excellent, but they also quoted Jean-Claude Van Damme, which made me giggle. All your ducks in a row.
My wig stays on.
I'm right by really loud speakers right now. Oh, the boy's having a great time.
With his cast off, Indy returned to being part human, part fish.
So after a bit of lunch in the motorhome, we're going to somewhere that we went about 3 years ago, Bize Minervois. We've been looking forward to going back, and hopefully the boys will have some happy memories from when we were there last time. Look out your window, boys. on, babe.
So I've just parked. We're good that side. There's a massive branch right in front of Stampy and a massive 20-foot drop that side of us.
Yeah, there's the river that we want to swim in. So this is where we were 3 years ago. Slightly less water, probably because of the lack of rain. And it looks a tiny bit more stagnant in the distance, but still massively appealing to our boys. And look, we've got dam building going on down here. No, I got it wrong. It's quite the opposite. My environmentalist is actually letting the stagnant water be released. It's making a big difference, actually. So lots of the fish are swimming through now, because they can. And all of this built up stagnant pondweed. Oh dear, that looks like I don't know whether it's a larval stage of something or whether it's an actual fish, but it looks a bit trapped in that stuff. Come on, there we go. Oh, that's a bit sad. So when we first got here, this entire water surface was covered with a layer of algae where the water flow had been stopped by a big dam, obviously for quite a few weeks. And my son pointed out that it's effectively like eutrophication, where oxygen can't quite get to the water, the surface of the water, which means whatever's in the water is going to start to die. There we go, it's a little bit clearer now. Hopefully the fish can be a bit happier on their journey because they're not being kept in that body of water there, getting stagnant.
What's great about this area is nowhere is too deep and there's virtually no current. So the boys could play in the sun and the shallows or brave the deeper water with me and spot fish.
So tonight's dinner in this over 30-degree heat, we're having some Thai green noodles. I don't know how well that's going to go down, with some tofu, and look, here's some yellow pepper. But what about my chopping board? It's still missing. Where has it gone? Stampy, I'm blaming you. Why is it always so hot around dinner time? I kind of feel like midday, it's okay, 2 o'clock, it's okay. Come 5, 6 o'clock, it's unbearable, and it's the time I have to stand over 3 burning hobs. Whew. So there we go, we've got some sort of creamy Thai noodles. I don't use the word curry, but there is no curry in that sauce. And the children appear to be eating it. So, Bize Minervois. It's a lovely village, a lovely little place to paddle. Feels very ramshackle and oldie-worldy. Something else I would say as well, yes, it is hot down in the south of France, but Languedoc, as I'm sure you can see or hear from the sound of wind, Languedoc is the windiest region in France. So if you like a breeze, just to get rid of that mugginess, it might be the region for you. Oh dear, Daz has just called me whilst we were on the dog walk and told me that Sammy has chewed through a dashcam cable. I mean, it's not good. He's been such a good boy whilst we've been away, and I couldn't ask for a more kind of placid, calm dog whilst we've been doing all these crazy travels. He comes out when he needs to come out, he stays in when he needs to stay in, he doesn't cause any problems. So yeah, that's unfortunate, but when a cable is dangled in front of your face and you're just hanging around, I don't know. He doesn't normally chew through things.
From Carcassonne we headed an hour east towards Béziers.
Well, this is a very nice aire de stationnement just outside of Béziers. It's just vomited about 17 tickets at me. So for us to stay here tonight, it's just over €11, but we've chosen to go for no electricity and no extra water. But apparently, according to the sign there, you get 100 litres of water with your stay anyway. So €11 overnight, that's pretty good.
And who doesn't like a bargain? Okay, that's all for this video. Join us next time as we travel another hour along the coast to the aptly named town of Palavas, just south of Montpellier. For now, I'll leave you with this rather calming image of an avenue of plane trees. Please consider a like, subscribe or comment, or feel free to remain exactly where you are. The choice is yours. Until our next escape, thanks for watching.